particular greeting. Great to be here. Bear with me 1 second. Before I get into the, hey Rob, before I get into Make the Roads in the House, nice to see you all. Before I get into the reason why we're here today, I wanted to say something that is, if you will, off topic. I'd like to briefly address the report issued last evening by the Task Force on EDA tax incentives following Judge Jacobson's denial of the attempt to keep it from the public. My team and I are still poring through the report, but let's be clear about a couple of things. We are not just dealing with a broken system. This is a rigged system. This was designed by special interests to benefit special interests. It allowed hundreds of millions of dollars to flow to insiders based on misleading, false, omitted, or fabricated information. This system cannot be allowed to continue for 1 day past June 30th. To do so would be to ignore both the facts presented by the task force and the facts presented by the communities left struggling in the shadows of the buildings this system built. Let me once again be perfectly clear. If the legislature sends me a bill to renew this system as is, without the necessary reforms, it will be vetoed. I was not elected governor to continue business as usual, Trenton insider politics, but rather to bring change that benefits the 9 million people who call this great state home. The task force report overflows with the evidence of what business as usual means. This is one of those moments that begs the question, whose side are you on? I remain firmly on the side of our communities, our taxpayers, our middle class, and our small businesses. They deserve a set of incentives that work for them, and that is what I am committed to delivering. The task force still has work to do, and we all have much more fact-finding in front of us. But it does not, and it will not matter how powerful or connected anyone is. No one is above the law, and no one has the right to abuse taxpayers of New Jersey. Nearly 9 months ago, I proposed an innovative, accountable, and fiscally sound incentive plan that focuses on helping communities, entrepreneurs, and those who dream of making it work in New Jersey. And I might add, highly labor supportive and highly labor friendly. This is a far better alternative, and it can be enacted literally tomorrow. New Jersey does not have to be staring at this deadline. I thank Judge Jacobson for allowing this preliminary report to be released. I recommit to the people of New Jersey that I will continue to do everything in my power, that every single one of the $11 billion in tax breaks promised through this broken and rigged system are properly accounted for. So thank you for allowing me a few minutes to address that. Back to the subject at hand today. Again, good afternoon, and thank you all for joining us. I am literally standing before an extraordinary group of leaders. We just had a lengthy and productive meeting together. They represent the men and women who go to work every day across our state to serve the people of New Jersey. And through them, I thank the hundreds of thousands of union women and men across the state who quite simply make New Jersey work. And just down the street, the legislature's budget committees are continuing their work on the final budget bill. Our team continues to review what's in the legislature's proposal, and we continue to reach out to legislative leadership with our ideas and talk about how we can make this budget even stronger, fairer, and more responsive to the needs of the people of our state. But we know with what their proposal is without. Unfortunately, it is without the measures of tax fairness that the overwhelming majority of our residents, on both sides of the aisle, by the way, support and which our state desperately needs. Let me be perfectly clear. I remain as committed as ever to tax fairness for our residents. I remain committed specifically to the millionaire's tax as the right way to secure the revenues our state will need over the long term to invest more deeply in growing and securing our middle class, delivering broad-based and sustainable property tax relief, and putting our state on a more stable and solid fiscal footing. I also remain fully committed to reforming our business incentive programs, as I mentioned a minute ago, so they can be more sustainable, more beneficial to revitalizing communities, fairer to small and mid-sized businesses, and so they don't crowd out our ability to invest in our communities and our people. I know the folks behind me share in these commitments, and I thank them deeply for their support and efforts over the past several months and indeed over the past several years. The work on the budget doesn't end on June 30, and let me be clear that we are not going away on June 30. Tax fairness is not simply a budget issue. It is an issue of equality, of fairness, and of investing in critical middle-class priorities like education and transportation and health care. So to every legislator willing to kick the can down the road instead of picking it up and doing what's needed right now, I want to be perfectly clear. The pressure to pass a millionaire's tax will intensify and not lessen if it is not included in this budget. And with the men and women here today, their members across the state, and with everyday New Jerseyans, including the student leaders here today from Make the Road, New Jersey, who will be living, who will be living with the impacts of the decisions we make today and those we pass on to their generation to get done, we will continue to press for the common sense measures we need to secure a better future for them and for us all. With that, we've got a number of folks who want to come up and say a few words. And I just want to reiterate how deeply humbled and honored I am to have this group with me, not just today, but every day. And there's an attempt made by some to sort of make public sector employees in particular, and there are many of their representatives up here with me, some kind of an abstract body of folks. And I mentioned this in my budget address. The men and women of organized labor generally, and in specific to our brothers and sisters in public sector unions, embody the middle class. And if I'm not standing with this group, I'm not doing my job. We have not only, we not only have some outstanding leaders in the ranks of New Jersey labor up here with me, but we've also got some national voices as well. So it is my particular honor to bring up for a few words a national leader, a friend, somebody who is in the fight with us every day, the national president of the Communication Workers of America, Chris Shelton. Chris?
Good afternoon. CWA represents some 700,000 members across the country and in Canada. In New Jersey, we represent 65,000 working families, including 35,000 state workers. Earlier this year, we worked with Governor Murphy to identify more than $1 billion in year-over-year savings on health care to the state of New Jersey. And after a decade of Chris Christie showering tax cuts on the super wealthy, we welcomed Governor Murphy's approach, achieved savings by working together with unions, and asked for fairness by asking 18,000 people who make more than $1 million a year, to pay less than 2 cents on every dollar they make over $1 million. So nobody's asking them to pay taxes on their $1 million. They're asking What the governor is asking is for them to pay taxes on anything over $1 million. We represent workers in departments that have been cut to the bone. There are no surprise safety inspections of hospitals because there isn't enough staff to do it. The state cannot license nurses in a timely fashion because there isn't enough staff to do it. One office that does HIV and AIDS outreach to at-risk populations in North Jersey had 20 workers a decade ago. Today, it has 3. This legislature has chosen to ignore all of this. The legislature has taken the savings we worked to obtain and is refusing fairness to the wealthy on the other end. Even worse, they simply want to extend an out-of-control corporate welfare program that has been shown to produce self-dealing and potentially fraudulent results with taxpayer resources. And they are so committed to defending millionaires that they will bring New Jersey to the verge of its 3rd government shutdown in 4 years on their behalf, potentially locking out tens of thousands of members. To say we are disappointed is an understatement. We are outraged. They are out of touch, not just the Democrats, but even the average Republican voter in New Jersey, since polls show a majority of Republican voters support a millionaire's tax. Working people of New Jersey deserve better. We call on the legislature to work with Governor Murphy to identify sustainable new revenue and promote tax fairness. The budget must include a millionaire tax so that we can grow our economy and continue to clean up the mess left us by Chris Christie. This is a challenge to the legislature. We know that the governor is on the side of the working people of New Jersey, all the people of New Jersey. We want to know whose side the legislature is on. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for those remarks and for your leadership more broadly. It is now an honor to bring up another brother in arms in the fight, State Director for AFSCME. Please help me welcome Steve Tully.
Thank you, Governor, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve Tully. I'm the Executive Director for AFSCME New Jersey. Nationwide, AFSCME represents 1.3 million members. In New Jersey, we represent 22,500 members. Our members work in the public sector and the private sector. We have state employees, county employees, municipal employees, school employees, higher education employees, and a lot of private sector healthcare workers. Our members provide vital services that the people of New Jersey rely on. And our members are part of the backbone of the middle class in this state. The governor's budget invests in things like education and transportation, pensions, higher education, and health care. It adequately funds these investments, and with the millionaire's tax, funds it not just now, but in the years to come, so that we can maintain these services. The millionaire's tax is about providing sustainable revenue. It is simply about asking the people who can afford to pay more to pay a little bit more and pay their fair share. It is about priorities, and it is about fairness. So we urge the state legislature to pass a budget that includes the millionaire's tax and adequately funds the services that our members and all of the members of the various unions who are up here today, that our members provide for the people of New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. As you will see, there's another lesson to be learned here. Organized labor is not a monolith. You're going to see unique, important features among each of the groups that are represented here today, but we share common passions and common principles, and that is we stand up for working men and women in the state and their families. Please help me welcome another leader in the fight. It's State Director, Vice President for 32BJ, our friend Kevin Brown.
You couldn't find you there, man. Good afternoon. Very proud to be here. 32BJ represents 13,000 property service workers across the state and about another 5,000 workers who live in the state but work in New York City. One of those members, to give you a sense of who we are, his daughter is here with us today, Natalie Roman. Natalie lives in Elizabeth. Her dad's a member of 32BJ, works as residential worker in New York City. And in fact, last week she was the recipient of a scholarship from our union to go to college because she's going to be entering college this coming year. We work in the airport. We work in janitors and office buildings, security officers. We're a private sector union. And so we see things a little bit differently from our brothers and sisters in the public sector unions, but we see one thing very on the same page, and that is that we need to make sure that those who can afford it the most pay their fair share. If you make over $1 million a year, you should pay a little bit more on your percentage. We need to structurally fix our budget in New Jersey, not a one-time thing. We're going to be in the same problem next year if we don't structurally fix the problem. The millionaire's tax is a great way to do that. Those who have more should pay more. I also want to go a little bit off topic, as the governor did, on the Economic Development Authority, and that is we feel very clear and sure that any law that reauthorizes EDA, and that should, we believe, be reauthorized now and not extended, but that it should include something that says when the state gives a subsidy that the property service workers, the janitors, the security officers are paid a fair living wage and benefits. And that is something we feel very strongly about. We do better as a community when we provide good jobs, and that lifts up and makes our state stronger. A millionaire's tax should be part of that, making sure that when we entice employers to come here, which sometimes we do and we need to make sure those are good jobs. The governor shares that agenda, and we're going to work together to make sure that the Jersey legislature passes that as part of our 2019-2020 budget. Thank you.
I echo and underscore both points. The millionaire's tax has come up in all of our remarks, as it should. And I want to say something I've said for now years. I don't think we begrudge success. It's the American dream. Somebody who's done well, God bless them. But we're acknowledging in the last administration in New Jersey, those folks did really well. In the Trump administration on their federal taxes, they're doing really well. This is about leveling the playing field. It's about asking for fairness. We can't justify making the investments we're making in the middle class and in the dreams of those in poverty or working poor who someday dream and aspire to get into the middle class. We can't justify making those investments but making the same people pay for them. We need help to pay for those programs, and that's what this is about. So thank you, Kevin. God bless the educators. We got a small passel of them up here with us today, and I'm honored to stand with them. They are the game changers in the lives of our children up and down the state. You don't get the top 2 public school system in America without outstanding educators, the best in America. Number 1 in physics, number 2 in chemistry, number 1 in foreign language participation. I could go on and on and on. Please help me welcome the NJEA President, Marie Bliston.
Thank you, Governor. Hi, everyone. My name is Marie Bliston, and I'm a very proud classroom teacher for well over 30 years, working with students in special education. And I'm equally as proud to be the president of the New Jersey Education Association. Nationally, we represent 3.1 million members and their families. Statewide, we represent over 200,000 members and their families. And I am proud to stand here today with the rest of our leadership team, our director, Ed Richardson, associate director, Steve Swetsky, my fellow officers, Sean Spiller, vice president, Steve Beatty, as secretary treasurer, and I'm equally as proud to stand here with the president of the New Jersey Retired Association, representing over 27,000 members and their families. We are very proud of our public schools, Governor. Thank you for giving the call out. We are equally as proud to stand with you on a budget that is fair and is sustainable and, in fact, will support pre-K K-12, and community college, because we know that you get it. We know that you know where the difference is. And it does start at pre-K, and it doesn't end at 12th grade. It absolutely goes through community college and beyond. And we also support a sustainable, fair budget that has a sustainable, fair revenue stream. But in order to keep the best quality public educators, and in order to keep that great standing of number 2 in the United States for the best quality public schools, we must keep our employees. And we have a problem. Our school employees do not and are not respected in this state. Over the last 8 years, they have continued, because of an unfair state-imposed health care contribution, taking home less and less year after year. As Vice President Sean Spiller has said over and over to our young people when we ask them to come into this great profession, to make a difference in the lives of society and the lives of children. But, oh, by the way, after your first year, you're going to continue to make less and less and less in your paycheck. Ladies and gentlemen, it is unfair and it is unsustainable. Governor Murphy is standing with us, calling for a change in that health care law, so that, in fact, that we can, in fact, keep a quality and attract quality professionals into our workforce. We already know that we have members leaving the field early for an early retirement. Furthermore, we have checked with the colleges, and we are seeing those numbers plummet coming into the college enrollment program, which is only going to put us in a dire state of emergency in this state. That great public education system that we have is at risk. We are devaluing our property values and devaluing the state. This is a wake-up call. We do stand with the governor for a sustainable, fair revenue stream and a budget, and we stand with those legislators who understand what is at risk and is willing to do what they are elected to do, their jobs, to sustain the working class, all the people in this great state. Ladies and gentlemen, we know that we can fix this unfairness. That's why we elected Governor Phil Murphy as our governor, and we are calling on these legislators, all of them, to work together to get us to that finish line. Thank you.
Wow, Marie, awesome. I can't wait to see Marie when she's fired up. You mentioned two things that bear repeating. One is sustainable. So I didn't get elected to come here to rush to June 30th and then wake up on July 1st and start the whole cycle again. This ridiculousness of living from one day or 1 year to the next, of wash, rinse, dry, repeat, enough. And that's another reason why the millionaire's tax allows us to get to a better and stronger place. And secondly, if we keep feeding insecurity into either current educators or future educators, we'll get what we deserve, which will get fewer quality folks who want to go into that extraordinary profession. And that will have a real impact on our society, on our kids clearly, but it's a big piece of our economic development future. So thank you. Representing a different branch of education, but nonetheless equally important at the higher education level, please help me welcome Patrick Nolan, Executive Director of Legislative Affairs for AAUP-AFT. Thanks, man.
Good afternoon. Patrick Nolan, I'm the Executive Director of the Rutgers AAUP-AFT. We represent nearly 10,000 employees across the Rutgers campuses and at the NJIT campus in Newark. Our members are educators, right? They're researchers, they're academics, they do their research. So in 2017, they looked at the record of the current legislature. They went to the polls, and they saw that this legislature, by a vast majority, supported the millionaire's tax. Not once, not twice, but multiple times, right? And the deduction they reached was that re-electing this legislature and this governor would make the millionaire's tax a reality. In higher education, it's about educating, it's about facts, right? But it's also mostly about opportunity. Our members educate students. They don't differentiate between in-state students or out-of-state students, immigrant students or U.S.-born students. They educate the students. And Marie and her members, Donna Chiara from AFT and her members, do a great job in New Jersey. But we need tax fairness in this state. You can't You can't de-link opportunity and tax fairness in a state like New Jersey. It's a very expensive state, and those that have had opportunity, that have maximized on that opportunity, that can afford to, should pay their fair share. And they should allow the next generation, our youth sitting here today, to fulfill their greatest opportunity. Nothing should be held back. And we applaud this governor for putting forward opportunity in his first 2 budgets through tax fairness and historic investments in higher education. And we call on the legislature to stand by their previous commitments to support tax fairness and pass the millionaire's tax. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Great job, buddy. Patrick does make an important point, made several important points, but one of which we've made before. You'll hear us again. In the last administration, the millionaire's tax was voted on by Democratic legislatures on 5 separate occasions. The only thing that's changed is the governor, so keep that in mind. Education, transportation, government service, whether it be union service, whether it be in the public sector or private, but also healthcare, are critical pillars to our society in New Jersey. Please help me welcome the first Vice President for HPAE, Barbara Rosen. Barbara.
Good afternoon. My name is Barbara Rosen. I'm the first Vice President for HPAE. HPAE is the largest health care union in New Jersey. We represent 13,000 nurses, social workers, and other healthcare professionals in hospitals, nursing homes, home care agencies, blood banks, and public university research centers. We've heard a lot of issues today on why the revenue is needed through the millionaire tax, which we fully support. Some of the issues that I'd like to talk about is University Hospital. Over the last administration, there's been gross defunding of the hospital. And with this budget and the millionaire's tax, we're hoping that this hospital, which is a safety net, essential facility for the people in Newark, could be sustained. Also, we're in full support of any revenue for opioid in New Jersey. It's a crisis that needs to be addressed head on. It's getting worse every day, and to defund anything pertaining to opioids is really intuitive. Over the last administrations, we've also seen the Department of Health grossly defunded. I personally have been a nurse for 45 years. I speak for the history of healthcare in New Jersey because I've been working there, and I have seen, and so have many of our members, decline in the functioning of hospitals. And at the same time, we don't have an effective Department of Health to come and provide the oversight. That's why our union of 13,000 people and their family are strongly supporting the millionaire's tax to be able to fund all these very important issues in the state. And we stand by all of our brothers and sisters with their issues as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Barbara. A couple of quick items. First of all, our extraordinary Commissioner of Labor and Workforce Development is with us, Rob Sarangelo. Rob, great to have you. I suspect you see some familiar faces up here. Secondly, Barbara mentioned the opioid. So not only do we want tax fairness, and because we think it's the right thing to do to get a millionaire's tax, but we had proposed, and we still hope it will be in the budget, an opioid manufacturer distributor surcharge per pill to help us fund the programs that we need to battle the scourge of the opioid addiction in this state, another element of tax fairness. Please help me welcome Connor Shaw, Assistant Political Director for IUJAT. Connor, come on, man. You good?
Yep. Hi. First, I'd like to thank the governor, all the fellow labor leaders up here, and the future labor leaders from Make the Road who are here. I'm Connor Shaw. I'm with the International Union of Journeymen and Allied Trades. I'm here representing thousands of public sector employees in Bergen, Union, Middlesex, and Ocean County that our national unions, USWU and UPSEU, represent. Our members are librarians, bus drivers, security guards, food inspectors, clerks, and a whole host of other jobs. Their jobs are different, but they all do one thing. They come to work to serve the people of New Jersey. They know the pay will never be the same in the public sector as in the private sector, but part of the deal is that they get benefits to allow them to live in the communities that they serve. That part of the bargain is under attack, and we need to stand up to defend the people who make our community great. There is nothing more important for the middle class than collective bargaining. The legislature needs to stand up for collective bargaining. It needs to stand up for the middle class, and it needs to stand up for tax fairness. What does the Democratic Party stand for if it does not stand for economic and tax fairness? We need to pass the millionaire's tax to make sure that people making over $1 million a year pitch in their fair share to help the next generation be able to have the opportunities that they had in order to make that wealth. Thank you, and yeah.
Thanks, Connor. Good job, buddy. Thank you, Connor. We've got just a couple more folks who want to say some things. At least two of them are in the shy retiring category, and this next one is one of them. Please help me welcome IFPTE Local 194 President and the guy who runs the Hudson County Central Labor Council, the one and the only Barry Kushner.
Thanks. Good afternoon. My name's Barry Kushner. I'm a 27-year employee of the New Jersey Turnpike. I'm proud to represent those folks in tolls, maintenance, and office as their president, as well as 15,000 public, private, and building trades unionists in Hudson County. And since we're at a labor event, I think I'm going to start off by quoting Woody Guthrie and just asking you, whose side are you on? Okay, it's as simple as that. We have the folks in the legislature who have been in Trenton over the last decade giving tax cuts to the wealthiest New Jerseyans. Someone who wants to buy a yacht gets a 50% tax cut over the last 10 years. The legislature is even willing to extend a program that's under criminal investigation right now, all while the 16,000 members I represent and millions of other middle-class New Jerseyans throughout the state are struggling week to week. We've seen pay cuts, we've seen reduction in health care, we've seen pension loss, and in New Jersey, we've seen millionaire class grow. As a matter of fact, from last year to this, New Jersey has transplanted Maryland, that has the highest number of per capita millionaires per state out of any state. And the denominator on that, Governor, is 50. The governor likes denominators. And, you know, that simple question that Woody Guthrie put so eloquently and so simply, whose side are you on? Are you on the side of 19,000 folks who are getting a break, who are increasing their wealth, or are you going to reward hard work and help out middle-class folks who are struggling? That's the question I pose to the legislature right now. And I'm hopeful that over the next 10 days, they'll come to their senses, they'll break out of the Trenton bubble, and they'll stand with the governor, just like we are right here, and fight for the working people and the middle class of New Jersey. Thank you. I take my hat off.
As I predicted, shy and retiring. I mentioned that Chris Shelton has national responsibilities, and it was an incredible honor to have him here. There's another guy who's got national responsibilities who's come in from California to be with us today. So please help me welcome the president of Smart Transportation Division, John Prevasic. John, come on down.
Good afternoon, everybody. Excuse my voice. I've been talking a lot the past few weeks and about ready to lose it. I hope I get through this before that happens. First of all, I want to say that I am John Prevasic, the president of the Smart Transportation Division. That's the International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail, and Transportation Workers. We are the largest rail union in North America. Our membership on New Jersey Transit is the biggest single entity in the state for us. However, we do have, in addition to that, private and public sector members in other areas of the state. So we're statewide, we're also nationwide. And the reason I'm here is because I support working people. I support working people in the state of New Jersey as well as across the country. I'm here because Governor Murphy also supports working people. It's very important to remember that when you work in a public sector that politics matter. Who holds office matters. Governor Murphy's vision for the state of New Jersey is one that all of labor up on this podium here shares with Governor Murphy. The issues of tax fairness, dedicated funding, proper funding for programs that help working people. It's ridiculous to extend a program to people who need help at the lower income level and then through unfair tax reach into those people's pockets to pay back what they were extended for in the first place. It's unfair to let millionaires go at a lower tax rate than people who work for a living, and that's often the case. The legislature needs to step up, help Governor Murphy achieve his goals. The goals of Governor Murphy are the goals of working people in the state, and they're the goals of all of organized labor. And I can't speak highly enough about his vision, how it's shared by all of us up here, and how important it is to change the direction of this state to one that is worker-friendly and not company-friendly, not millionaire-friendly. We need to change the direction. Governor Murphy is just the man to do it, and I support him wholeheartedly. My organization supports him. We'll be out there when it counts to help lend our boots on the ground to this effort. We're going to get it done, and I know the governor can get it done. Thank you.
Thanks so much for coming in. Thank you, John, and thank you for coming in a great distance to be with us today. One more shy and retiring guy who will bat cleanup for us, and then we'll take a couple of questions, if there are any. Chairing the Amalgamated Transit Union, ATU, in the great state of New Jersey, another guy who lives and breathes transportation, organized labor, working families, working men and women. Please help me welcome Bayonne's own, the one and only Ray Greaves.
Got to give it up for Governor Murphy. I'll tell you, we have no better friend here in New Jersey for working families than this governor. And why is the heavy guy always the cleanup guy? I don't understand. Thanks, Gov.
Sorry.
Well, unfortunately, we are in front of a microphone again. 2 years in a row, sort of the same situation. We have a legislature that has once again chosen to not be on the side of working families, of the hardworking men and women of this state who give it their all each and every day to make things run. I'm from the Amalgamated Transit Union. We represent over 10,000 transit workers here in the state of New Jersey, and I'm proud to be here also with everybody here, but also today with our brothers and sisters from SMART. You know, they run the trains, we run the buses, and together we move New Jersey. The legislature, and we always give credit to the former governor, Governor Christie, for decimating New Jersey Transit. But he did not decimate New Jersey Transit by himself. He had a legislature in place, the same legislature leadership that is in place today, that did not fund New Jersey Transit, that did not invest in our transportation, did not invest in our future. And once again, I'm a big Who fan, and there's a song that comes into my mind, Won't Get Fooled Again. Well, legislature, you fooled us 5 times under Chris Christie when you said you were for something, only to find out now that you weren't for it. Once under Governor Murphy last year, and now again. Legislature, look at me. Look at my brothers and sisters up here today. We won't be fooled again. We will be at your office tomorrow. We will be on the phones each and every day, urging you to do the right thing, to be on the side of the people in the state of New Jersey, and not in the pockets of a few millionaires and corporations who only want contributions in election time. That's what it seems to me. And I'm tired of it. And the workers around this state are tired of it. And we're going to stand together, and we want to work together. We want to work as one. We want a fair budget that represents everyone in this state, not just the chosen few. And I'm here today to remind you. And I'm going to be here tomorrow. And so on and so on. until you have enough sense and enough common decency to do the right thing. We are all here for one reason, each and every one of us, and it's to stand up for the people in this great state of New Jersey. Legislature, don't fool us again. Now's your time to stand up for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray. I'm considering taking the next 12 days off and having Ray go around the state representing me. Thank you to each and every one of you who spoke, and to those who are up here in your leadership who did not get a chance to speak. 1,000 thank yous. We'll take a couple of questions, if there are any. Please.
You mentioned that the current tax credit system is not just broken but rigged. As the governor, you can veto the minutes of the EDA and prevent them from issuing new tax credits. So if you think the system is rigged and broken, will you be using that option? And if so, why, and if not, why not?
Well, it's important, a couple of things. I do believe that, and most importantly, if all I'm sent is an extension of the current programs, I will veto them. So I want to reiterate that. I've said it now twice in this gathering. We changed the team there, beginning with a new boss when we first came in. We have a new chair as of a couple of months ago. They're installing compliance leadership. They're doing things that have never been done before at the EDA. I believe that they are organically in that organization doing the steps in getting to the right place. It's the programs that stink, that have been out there since this 2013 authorization, and I don't think any of us can justify voting to just kick them kick that can down the road and keep them going without meaningful reforms. Please, Daniel. All options, Daniel, are on the table. Literally all options are on the table across the entire spectrum, and they'll remain on the table. All options are on the table. Thank you. Again, except for a minute, we're just digging through what we got yesterday. We presented our budget early March. We just got the details on what the legislature has passed yesterday. Brett.
So we just celebrated the one-year anniversary of sports betting. So if you're a betting man, are we going to a shutdown? What odds do you get?
So, Brett, let me just put in context. I spoke at a sports betting conference this morning. Not only did I place the first two legal sports bets in the history of the state, I also placed the first two losing sports bets. So I don't know why you would want my opinion on that. Again,
What are the chances of, is that still an option, a shutdown?
all options are on the table. Please, Catherine.
There's one email in the tax income report that's getting a lot of attention. It's a super email to basically kind of showing that they had no intent to actually use the full equity, but they were seeking proof of it. And it's been described as a bit of a smoking gun. It was sent to many people. Would you agree with that assessment? And what was your take on that email?
So I'm still myself pouring through this, and the team is still pouring through the report from last night, so forgive me for not having, but I have read a lot of the accounts that you all have written about this. I'm going to be less specific on any particular email or data point, but I'm horrified by what I read. This is worse than what we thought. This is the taxpayers' money going to who knows what, and it feels like the ultimate inside game being played out where a select few win and we all up here and beyond and the folks they represent pay the price. And it's been going on, whether it's measured in whatever it's in that report or frankly the way the budget gets done in this state. There's a bubble in which a select few exist disconnected from the rest of this state, and the rest of the 9 million of us pick up the freight, pay the price, and take it on the chin. And frankly, I've had it. Brenda, sorry to go off. Brenda, I can barely see you. I have to move over here. No, that's all right.
Every legislator who's quote unquote kicks the can down the road on the new year's tax, that the pressure is going to intensify, not lessen. Could you elaborate on that?
Yeah, just as a general matter, Brenda, we know this is not that complicated. We know the mess that Chris Christie left us. We know the assets most importantly, the talent and the extraordinary people, our diversity, our location, our education system, our transportation infrastructure. We know what we can be. So I got elected to reclaim that which is ours, beginning with an all-in investment in the middle class. And by doing so, by the way, rekindling the dreams of those, as I was, in working poor, looking up someday to get into the middle class, hoping, or too many folks in the state who are in poverty. So we know why we are here. We know why these folks do what they do and represent the working men and women of the state. I know why I was elected. So I've had it with the insider stuff. So whether it's on June 30th, on July 15th, October 15th, whenever it is, we're going to stand with the people. We're going to stand with the working men and women of the state, and we will be unwavering in our standing with them. Nikita, did you have your hand up? I've got no nose counts for you, sorry. No, okay, good. I did not. I got it sent after it went public last night. I had a copy delivered at my home at 9:52 p.m. No, first of all, the budget hasn't been passed, so it's out of committee. So the legislature is gathering, I believe, on Thursday to actually pass it. So you should expect us to have all options on the table and every part of the clock on the table. Before I come back to you, I just wanted to, Dustin. Before it was written about in the press, and we have had a process underway. That process continues, and I'm led by my team to believe that that process is coming to a head sooner than later. Someone back here, please.
Can you name some of your legislative allies who are advocating for your
I won't get into names. I normally don't do. I assume Nikita slipped you that question to ask, perhaps. No, you thought it on your own. But we've had some consistently strong voices, and that's an important point to make. We're talking about the legislature here, and I think our brothers and sisters up here would agree that there are, in fact, heroes in each of those bodies who consistently stand up on our behalf. Charlie. Charlie, honored that you would be here. Nice to see you. My pleasure.
very clear about these tax incentive deals, if they just come back with an extension of the current program, there's no ambiguity about that. Why not then, since the millionaire's tax has been your signature issue, you have all these groups behind you speaking passionately about it, why not declare, make that same declaration about a budget that's going to be without a millionaire's tax?
I'm not saying we won't. That option is on the table. I would say, as passionate, I think, as we all are about the millionaire's tax, this is not equivalent, in my humble opinion, to saying a system is corrupt. That's a different standard. I think I can be unequivocal on something that has so obviously been riddled with unfairness and bad behavior. That, to me, I hold to a different standard. But everything is on the table, Charlie.
About that report, though, it did show that there were systemic problems with the actual person management and the operation of the EDA. We didn't have the training, the personnel, the equipment, really, to do
Yeah.
the job. And so it's, I mean, it was a system that, as you said, benefited the rich, but it was really a system that was never given the appropriate.
Yeah.
Isn't it really, I mean, you're basically saying that that was strictly the beneficiaries that ran the table in there, but the state didn't.
No, I'm not saying that. No, importantly, I thought the task force had about 9 recommendations, and I thought, just by reading them, that just sort of the top lines, there were a lot of sensible recommendations in there, written instructions, training, et cetera, inside the EDA. As I said, I think one story we haven't told sufficiently is there's a lot of that development going on already, particularly in compliance. And so I'm not saying that. I think that it's not either or, it's and both. Please, 1, 2, and then we'll wrap it up.
Frank said it, that we're here at the microphone again. You're appearing in ads again for another year with the legislature not drafting the millionaire tax bill. Do you need a new approach to getting this done? Is it something that should be changed, or are you going to continue on with the same message and just hope that the ears?
Yeah, so Ray did mention that, and I think I alluded to this as well. And it must be said that at least based on what we can see in the budget, a lot of the investments in the middle class that we all collectively want are in there. They're not all in there, number one. And number two, there's a lot of what I'll hearken back to George H.W. Bush, there's a lot of voodoo math. There's a lot of, come on. And that's classic, kick the can down the road, fine, just pull a number out of the air. We're not going to sign on to that. I'm incredibly at peace with where I am. I think we are all at peace where we are. We may be frustrated. We may be deeply resolved, but we know we're on the right side of history. I do know as a matter of fact, 72% of the residents in this state support a millionaire's tax, including a majority of Republicans. I do know that as the middle class goes, we are the quintessential middle class state, so goes New Jersey. I do know that we are the quintessential organized labor state. And as organized labor in the state goes, so goes the state of New Jersey. And am I comfortable standing on behalf of a millionaire's tax, standing up for the middle class, standing up for working men and women and their families? You betcha I am. I'm not changing a thing about that. Please, last question, Catherine. Yes. I can't speak to the politics. Huge mistake, if that's allowed to stand. It's one of the distinguishing. Boy, I would like the people who are cutting that to meet live and in person an individual who has benefited from the community college opportunity grant. Remember who these people are, by the way. Just remember who they are. First of all, they're of all ages and elements of our society. So it's not just 18-year-olds out of high school. Secondly, they are by definition the most in need. If you had an adjusted family gross income of above $45,000 a year, which is minimum wage, as Kevin pointed out earlier to me, you're not even eligible. Thirdly, it's a last dollar program. So the reason why we had a little bit more money in the program, there was an enormous amount of discipline associated with it. So folks had to go get Pell Grants, mostly other federal sources. So this is just topping it out. And then sit with them. And by the way, they had to get good grades and stay in school if that weren't enough. And sit with them. Look at the lives this has changed. Everywhere I go, the minute you mention this program, people literally, am I right, folks, stand up and start applauding. It's a game changer. It's unlike any other state in America. Why we would cut it collectively, I have no idea. I want to conclude by thanking the extraordinary leaders who have stood with me today and who have stood with me every single day since we got here. I will continue to stand with them every single day, and I know they will stand with me every single day. To the Make the Road teens and young people, God bless you for being here. Thank you all so much. Stay tuned. We got a team shot? Let's go. Come on in, everybody. Just step up maybe a step or two.